So, Lynn, you travel around the country and the world, educating teachers and other mental health professionals and parents about depression and anxiety. So, one of the first things that comes up within the world of travel is tell us about when a family has to deal with flying anxiety. And sometimes it's the kids or sometimes it's the parents. But if you're a parent who is a little nervous about flying, what should you do?
Well, the first thing you really have to do is to pay attention to the words that you use with your kids. In the anxiety world, it's called catastrophic language. And also this desire for certainty, because anxiety is always about finding certainty. And of course, when we fly, we know statistically it's very safe. It's so much safer than even driving to the airport. But anxiety is looking for certainty. So you want to, with your kids, you want to promote flexibility. Of course, you don't want to say to your kids, hey, I think this plane might crash, and that would totally be a bummer. But you really want to talk about, well, it could be a little bumpy, but also it could be fun. You want to use the language of sort of casual flexibility, figuring out what's going to happen next.
So you're modeling that you're okay with unexpected outcomes.
That's right. Because traveling is all about handling unexpected outcomes. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not so great. And flying just becomes one opportunity to do that. When parents use the language of safety and stay close to me and we'll be okay, a lot of times what they have to recognize, particularly if they're anxious flyers, is they're really projecting their fear onto kids. You said earlier, sometimes it's the parents, sometimes it's the kids. It really is often this combination where a child is looking for the parent to set the tone of the travel. And if a parent is saying, all right, everybody get on the plane, let's just make sure your seatbelt is fastened, all right, we've got to have our distraction devices ready. The child is saying, gosh, the tone of this, right? I mean, what's mom so worried about? So we really want to be able to say, and fake it till you make it. I tell parents all the time, I don't care what's going on the inside. It's really how you respond on the outside. You got to be vanilla ice cream. You got to be cool as a cucumber, whatever other metaphor you want to think of. It's really about projecting a sense of flexibility and we can manage to your kids.
What if you catch yourself in a situation that you yourself find anxious while you're traveling, but you have this sudden self-awareness of, I'm not modeling the best behavior for my kids right now. How do you turn that around? What do you say to them? What do you do for yourself? What would you recommend?
Well, if you know that you tend to worry, and this is kind of something you can do ahead of time, it's really fun for families to give a name to this worry part. So say you were a really worried traveler, but you were working on it for your kids' sake. So you might decide with your kids that your worry is Stella. Right? And so use humor. So say you're traveling and you lose your luggage or the flight starts to get turbulent. You jokingly say, oh, Stella's going to have a field day with this one. Or, oh, here comes Stella. You also can teach your kids to call you out when Stella is in charge, which is such a great thing because kids will say, Mom, I think Stella is really bumming you out right now. Or I think you need to tell Stella that she needs to turn down the volume because we're doing fine. And so you're modeling how do we move through these situations rather than do this. So so you start using humor, you use playfulness, flexibility, and really paying attention to letting your kids be independent in a reasonable way when they travel. Let them order their own drinks on the plane. Let them fasten their own seatbelts. And show them over and over again, you can do it, which is the exact opposite of what anxiety says, which is, we can't handle this.